Right, just so everybody knows, I usually have been publishing these reviews of a Thursday. Today, I'm recording this on a Friday, so it's a couple of days late because I had a very busy Wednesday. That covers everything, doesn't it? Ho hum. Right, with all of that said, done, dusted, swept under the carpet and jumped on, that's the cold opening out of the way, and I'm hoping like hell the algorithm picks up on it and spreads joy all over the world. Or at least my channel, one of the two. In case you didn't know, my name is Paul. I'm also called Knickknack, and I'm the brains behind a blog called Knickknack's Old Peculiar, a set of silly jokes, and the daily teaser quizzes. Please feel free to keep a lookout for them and see what you make of them. At any rate, on top of all of that, I also do reviews of movies, which I haven't done for a while. I should catch something, and of TV shows. I've been watching the fifth series of For All Mankind just recently. I'm probably going to get on to the latest series of Strange New Worlds at some point. But either way, I thought I'd tell you about the most recent episode I've seen of For All Mankind. It's episode 6. It's called No Sudden Moves. And this is what I saw, thought, and felt. Episode 6, No Sudden Moves, opens with a dramatic shot showing us Governor Polyanov, Kostaronin, making an announcement over the base's radio to tell all and sundry that all launches are to be temporarily halted. But as the camera moves back, we're shown a fact about the governor's message. He's been coerced into sending it by a gun held to the back of his neck by Gerardo, Salvador Chacon, who's the protester that's led a group into Helios Mission Control. Outside Mission Control, Miles, Tony Kebbell, has met Celia, Morales, and whilst the pair are on different political sides, they both agree on one thing. Getting into Mission Control would be a good idea, because somebody, at least one of them, has to calm Gerardo down. They're not the only ones heading there. Alida Rosales and Dev Aisha, Karel Pena and Ida Gathiji are also on their way there. Dev is heading that way as it's en route to the medical bay where Alex Baldwin, Sean Kaufman, is. Alida is desperate to get to Mission Control and she knows one thing. It's the only place on all of Mars that can contact a Sojourner 1 mission to Titan. There's lives in them there hills. Given everything I saw on Tuesday, what did I make of No Sudden Moves? What did I make? What did I hear? What did I feel? What did I see? Did you ever hear the phrase base under siege? It's an old story trope, one that sees the heroes trapped in a small enclosed space whilst being besieged by ravening enemies at the door. The term is best known to Doctor Who fans because it describes quite a few stories, including some of the early Cyberman stories. 10th Planet and the Moon Base are classic examples. We can also use the term of practically any one of the Night of the Living Dead films by Romero, of Pontypool with Stephen McHattie, John Carpenter's The Thing, Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. There's a lot of them about. My point is simply this, that No Sudden Moves is a For All Mankind version of the same basic trope. It's a version that's altered slightly, with Gerardo, the invader, already in the base and holding hostages, and the good guys trying to get in rather than trying to get out. Does that make it watchable? Tense? Give it a big finish? Doesn't it just? Now, when I say
a big finish.
yes, that's what I mean. The various factions on Mars eventually come to an agreement about how to make demands of Earth without any further bloodshed. Quite simply, stop shipping iridium back home. However, at the end of the episode and in a televised announcement, US President Bragg makes a very definite statement that the M6 nations the US is part of will not make deals with terrorists and will embargo Happy Valley, will starve them out, unless the precious metal keeps coming. There is possibly a lot to say there. One thing that struck me was that this was a suitably tense cliffhanger. I will be watching the next episode very closely in order to see how this plays out. Another thing was that phrase of Bragg, that oh so redolent line, "We will not negotiate with terrorists." I believe there's a few US presidents who've used it, but I don't know for sure then. But it's one I know from the late Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, who used it in the Provisional IRA in the early 90s, in the latter years of the Troubles, in other words. Again, like I say, I know presidents have used it, but I know it from Thatcher. And to me, because I'd grown up when Thatcher was PM, that got me thinking that the fictional President Bragg is about as pig-headedly stubborn as the late Prime Minister. For All Mankind, as we're probably all aware by now, For All Mankind is an alternative history. It's taking alternative versions of real events and using them as story points and characters, or just old-fashioned reminders of real events, people, and moments. So the episode's climax, including a phrase I personally found familiar, shouldn't be surprising. Unexpected maybe, but not surprising. Especially given that an earlier scene reminded me of another event. At around the 24th minute, we see a newsreader telling us about the riots on Mars and how protesters are occupying Mission Control. And as part of the bullet, we're shown President Bragg touring a school when a presidential aide walks into the classroom to discreetly let the president know what's happening. I did not have chills seeing that scene. I did not. But I immediately recognised the real-world event the scene resembled. Do you remember where you were when you heard about the 9/11 attacks? I most certainly do. I can remember seeing that dreadful footage of a plane being deliberately driven into buildings, into skyscrapers. And I can remember seeing the footage of President Bush being told about the attacks. And I can remember seeing the look on his face. Very hard to describe unless you actually see the footage or the pictures. He, like his fictional counterpart, has an aide telling the news whilst touring a school. And the look on his face is unique. Is it a coincidence? No, I don't think so. I think the people behind this episode knew their historical onions and have staged the scene to resonate with its real-world equivalent so that the people recognise a parallel and realise how serious the fictional situation is. Kind of frightening to watch. So, what did I make of this 5th episode of For All Mankind? Of No Sudden Moves. Of an episode I found very resonant of real-world events. I've got to say it right here, out now. I loved it. The armchair historian in me, the man who can recognise some of the real events, enjoyed spotting the inherently recognisable things in it, whilst being aware there's others that I haven't noticed, and still more that have got nothing to do with the real world. The armchair TV reviewer in me recognised that the blooming relationship between Alex and Lily, between the Sean Kaufman and Ruby Cruz characters, is going to be grabbing the younger members of the audience. And the man who's a fan of this show has recognised a beautifully tense episode that's finished on one hell of a double-edged dramatic cliffhanger. Am I going to be watching the next episode this coming Tuesday? You bet your bum. With all of that said, done and dusted, this is where I'm going to be leaving things for now, having thoroughly enjoyed this 6th episode. I'll be watching the 7th one this coming Tuesday, when I'll be catching the interestingly titled The Sirens of Titan. This is where I suspect we get to see how an embargo affects the Titan. We'll see how that goes. In the meantime, between now and then, please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Feel free to tip. There's a link in the comment section and in the corner there. Feel free to try the daily teasers, and if you do enjoy what I'm doing, please come back next week and I will see you then. Have fun, be good, take care, and be seeing you.